Hello, everyone! Within the walls of the company Disney, it seems that a truly curious plan has matured. After decades of envious glances toward Warner Brothers and their incredibly successful Harry Potter franchise, the Mouse House seems to have finally found its way out of the situation. Its name is The Impossible Creature. It's a series of fantasy novels by British writer Katherine Rundell, the rights to which Disney recently acquired during an intense battle with competitors, laying out a seven-figure sum. And of course, it was a carefully thought out and perhaps even brilliant move in the long-running chess game for the minds and wallets of the family audience. When Disney doesn't just want its own Harry Potter, it wants Harry Potter 2.0 with magic, dragons, and adventures, but without the toxic trail of scandals that has followed the creator of the original universe, J.K. Rowling, for several years now. Will such an idea work? Will Disney get its own Harry Potter? And won't Warner Brothers take something similar into service themselves? Let's figure it all out now. But to understand the full depth and desperation of Disney's current bet, we need to go back to the past. The thing is, the bosses of the Mouse House missed the Potter series. Twice, or perhaps even 3 times. Back in the late 1990s, something happened that Disney would later come to regret deeply. At that time, inside Disney's publishing division, a manuscript landed on their desk, written by an unknown woman named Joanne Rowling. After a brief review, they turned it down, calling it unsuitable for their lineup. That manuscript, of course, was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Soon after, the rights were picked up by Scholastic. And as we all know, what followed was nothing short of a cultural explosion. Harry Potter didn't just sell books. It reshaped an entire generation's imagination, but Disney's real heartbreak came a few years later. When the magical empire of Harry Potter had already conquered the world, Disney reportedly made an attempt to acquire the film rights. However, rumors suggest Rowling hadn't forgotten their earlier rejection and the one that came during her most difficult days. And so when the Mouse House came knocking again, she firmly shut the door. Then came the third missed opportunity, one that would hurt Disney even more. When Harry Potter movies were smashing box office records under Warner Brothers, Disney tried again, this time proposing to build a Harry Potter-themed attraction in its Orlando park. On paper, it sounded like a dream. Partnership, the most powerful entertainment brand joining forces with the world's most beloved fantasy story. But once again, negotiations collapsed. Why? Creative control. Disney wanted complete authority to shape the way a magical world according to its rigid corporate standards. Rowling, on the other hand, demanded approval over every tiny detail, from the look of Hogwarts castle down to the taste of butterbeer. Neither side would compromise, so Rowling walked away, straight into the arms of Disney's biggest rival, Universal Studios, and that moment became a historic turning point for the entertainment industry. Universal gave Rowling the freedom Disney wouldn't. In 2010, the wizarding world of Harry Potter opened its gates, a breathtakingly detailed, fully immersive theme park that set a new global standard. Its success was astronomical. Universal, once considered the underdog, had just outplayed Disney right in its own game. But now, after years of silence, Disney seems ready to strike back. Enter The Impossible Creatures, a new fantasy book series whose rights Disney recently won after a fierce bidding war. And on paper, it looks like a deliberate echo of the Harry Potter phenomenon. Think about it, a fantasy adventure by a British author, centered around a young boy who stumbles into a secret world filled with magic and mythical beings. The story follows a boy named Christopher, who discovers a mysterious passage to an enchanted archipelago, a realm where griffins, dragons, and unicorns still roam. Together with his companion, Mal, he must uncover the truth behind a deadly force that's causing magical creatures to vanish one by one. The setup feels oddly familiar, doesn't it? A young hero, an unseen magical world, and an epic mystery that could change everything. Maybe it's Disney's way of reclaiming what they lost decades ago. Their second chance at the kind of magic that once slipped through their fingers. And with today's technology, the studio's unmatched resources, and an audience hungry for the next great fantasy saga, this time, Disney might just pull off what it couldn't before. In the last few years, Disney's biggest challenge has become painfully clear. The company seems to have forgotten how to nurture its most valuable franchises. The once mighty Marvel and Star Wars universes, which used to dominate global pop culture, are now struggling. Endless spin-offs, overstuffed storylines, and risky creative choices have left audiences feeling exhausted. Even legacy titles like Indiana Jones haven't been spared, faltering under the weight of nostalgia and repetition. So there's a real danger that The Impossible Creatures, once absorbed into Disney's massive Hollywood machinery, could lose the very heart that makes it special. Its magic, its emotion, its soul. Instead of a heartfelt adventure, it could end up as just another glossy, formula-driven blockbuster. And then comes the biggest question of all. Can Disney resist the temptation to update the story to fit every new cultural trend? We've seen it happen before, time and again. Beautiful stories reshaped, reimagined, or over-edited until they lose the timeless qualities that once made them powerful. Because Harry Potter wasn't a phenomenon by accident. It touched people because it spoke about universal truths, friendship, courage, good versus evil, things that never age. But if The Impossible Creatures is turned into a statement piece or a vessel for modern ideology, it could end up alienating the very fans it's meant to inspire. Still, despite all the risks, Disney is going all in. This is not just another project. It's the company's boldest gamble in decades. A chance to correct a mistake made 25 years ago. A shot at reclaiming its lost crown. To once again be the undisputed king of family, entertainment, and magical storytelling. If they pull it off, The Impossible Creatures might not only spark a new era for Disney, it could also reignite the studio's fading magic, proving that the Mouse House still knows how to dream big. And that's why this entire experiment matters, not just for Disney, but for Hollywood as a whole. Because this isn't just the launch of another fantasy franchise. It's a real-time test, a daring attempt to create a beloved universe without the baggage of a controversial creator. Every studio executive in Hollywood is watching this closely, especially over at Warner Brothers. For years, whispers in the industry have suggested that WB's leadership is desperate to keep milking the Harry Potter brand. But there's one major obstacle: its creator. J.K. Rowling's continued controversies have become a public relations nightmare, scaring off fans and potential partners alike. Warner Brothers now finds itself in a nearly impossible position. On one side, a billion-dollar brand that could live forever. On the other, an author whose personal views constantly spark backlash. And now, Disney may have just handed them the blueprint they've been searching for. Because if the Mouse House succeeds, if The Impossible Creatures becomes a new global sensation built around a cooperative, media-friendly author, it would prove that studios can separate a beloved world from its problematic creator. And the ripple effects of that success? They could reshape how Hollywood approaches every major franchise from this point forward. If Disney's grand experiment succeeds, it could send a powerful message across Hollywood, especially to Warner Brothers. A signal that maybe, just maybe, it's time to loosen their grip on J.K. Rowling. Because if The Impossible Creatures proves that a magical universe can thrive without its original creator standing in the spotlight, then Warner might start thinking the same way, expanding the wizarding world with new stories, new characters, and new voices. Over time, Rowling's presence could quietly fade into the background, allowing the Harry Potter brand to live a life of its own, independent and renewed. But there's a catch. A painful reminder that things don't always go as planned. And its name is Fantastic Beasts. That series was supposed to be a glorious return to the magic that once enchanted millions. But instead, it became a lesson in disappointment. Even with Rowling herself writing the scripts, the franchise stumbled. The plots became tangled, the pacing uneven, and the spark that once defined the wizarding world simply wasn't there. Audiences felt it. The heart, the wonder, the innocence all seemed to fade away. And Fantastic Beasts quietly turned into one of the most disappointing follow-ups in modern Hollywood. That's why The Impossible Creatures stands at a crossroads. It could either rise to become the next great fantasy phenomenon, or fall into the same trap of overproduction and creative missteps that sank Fantastic Beasts. Right now, no one can predict how it will unfold. The industry is holding its breath, waiting to see if Disney's new gamble will rekindle the magic it once lost, or prove that lightning truly never strikes twice. One thing's for sure: whatever happens next will shape the future of modern fantasy storytelling. And of course, we'll be right here, keeping an eye on every twist and turn of this fascinating story. What do you think? Will Disney's Impossible Creatures rise to the challenge and rewrite history? Or will it become another grand experiment that fades into memory? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video so you don't miss the next update on Hollywood's biggest battle for magic.